Welcome to the NBA OG show. We are here half form, I guess you could say, for this Wednesday, November 13th. It is Ian Cameron, Bobano Betts, Bobano, Trot Wham in the house. Dutch will be along in just a moment as well. We've got Skee kind of running the show behind the scenes as well. Like I said, he's got some stuff to do. So that's why you don't see him here. But we're here. We're ready to talk Wednesday NBA. Wham is back with us here today as well. It's a big slate. We've got 11 games on tap. Let's get right into it. We will start with the Indiana Pacers taking on the Orlando Magic. We've got Orlando. Well, it's actually a pick 'em. It opened with Indiana as a road favorite. The numbers kind of dropping, though, closer to pick 'em now. We're seeing some money come in here on the Orlando Magic. The total in this game currently 224, which has fallen from where it was initially. The Magic, they played last night in the NBA Cup, the in-season tournament, and they got themselves a very nice, easy blowout win, 114-89 over Charlotte. They're actually in relatively good shape for the second night of a back-to-back when you look at the rotations. Nobody played more than 32 minutes, and that was Tristan Da Silva, Franz Wagner, 31 minutes, Jalen Suggs, 28, KCP, 24 minutes, Mo Wagner, 23, Anthony Black, 24. So relatively fresh for a back-to-back. I mean, no one really had to exhaust themselves too much last night in that game. Meanwhile, Indiana, a team that is, starting to play a little bit better. They had that clunker against Charlotte, but outside of that, they have a nice road win against the Dallas Mavericks, a win against Orlando just last week at home, 118-111. And a nice win over the weekend as well, beating the New York Knicks 132 to 121. As far as the injury situation is concerned for this particular game here tonight, it looks like for the for the Pacers, there's still no Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith. They've been out for a few games now, so it doesn't look like they're going to be back. And, of course, Banchero, Wendell Carter still missing for the Orlando Magic. Scheduling advantage for Indiana, no question about that. Also, revenge spot for Orlando, I should say, because Indiana got the better of them last week at home, 118-111. But it is a pretty decent scheduling spot for Indiana. We'll see how they fare here in this game. Money coming in on Orlando, though, on the back-to-back. And like I say, they're relatively fresh. I'm passing this game. I lean Orlando. I like the revenge narrative. I think they're pretty fresh for a back-to-back. As I mentioned, no one played big minutes last night, and they got to rest all their key guys down the stretch against Charlotte. So I lean Orlando, but I don't love it here in this game. Wham, what do you think here, Pacers and Magic?
Yeah, for me, I do got a play in this game, and I do think that the short revenge, it kind of does favor Indiana. They are in an interesting spot here. And on top of that, they're not necessarily bit they're kind of bit with the injury bug, but not as hard with Paolo and Wendell Carter out for the Magic. That's kind of a bigger blow there. But the Magic still have been able to win 3 straight games. This last game that we was talking about, they played. Indiana played 118 to 111 win right there. That was the Jarace Walker career game for 17 points for him in that game. I think that in this game it's going to be something similar. Not necessarily similar, but another great performance for one particular player. We've seen Benedict Mathurin had 38 points the last game. He's been able to go over his 18.5 points prop 5 out of the last 6 games. I'm going in that direction. I think Benedict Mathurin for the Indiana Pacers is going to be, keep getting better, man. We expected him to be one of these offensive guys for this team. So give me Benedict Mathurin over 18.5 points. I like Sean Evans' play here as well with the threes with Mathurin too. So I could have endorsed that, but it's going to be the points for me. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, shout out to everyone in the chat. As always, we appreciate you guys joining us here on the NBA OG Crew NBA show. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. All right, moving on. We've got Boston and Brooklyn. Celtics Nets. Boston 8.5, 9-point road favorites, 218.5 the total. Boston, what happened last night against Atlanta? 16-point favorites, losing outright to the Hawks last night in that game. And the Hawks didn't even have Trae Young last night on the floor either. That pretty much tells you all you need to know about how Boston gives a fig about the NBA Cup. Not really. They end up losing 117-116. They couldn't give a crap. They couldn't give two shits about the NBA Cup, and they showed it last with that game. But now we're back to regular, does that even make sense? Regular season action, I guess you could here tonight in this game. They're off a loss like that. They'll probably want to bounce back. But look, I'm not stepping in front of my little point spread darling right now that is the Brooklyn Nets. They have been absolutely outstanding. I have cashed with them multiple times. And let's not forget, just recently, as in 5 days ago, last Friday night, Brooklyn takes Boston to OT. And they lose 108-104 in overtime. They led the majority of that basketball game, Brooklyn. Like, they went toe-to-toe with the Celtics there in that game. Very, very impressive, in my opinion. I got to be on Brooklyn here. And if Boston kicks their face in tonight and is pissed off about losing last night, so be it. I'll take the loss, but I'll take Brooklyn in all these points. I like what I'm seeing. I like the way Jordi Fernandez has this team playing right now on a nightly basis. Scheduling advantage as well for Brooklyn. Rested, haven't played since Monday night, whereas, of course, you've got the Celtics coming in off the back-to-back. And I know they're off a loss. They're going to want to bounce back, but let's not forget, too, 37 minutes for Tatum, Derek White, 37 minutes, Caillou, as we like to call him here on the show. And you look at the situation where, they had to extend a couple of their starters in that game last night, the Boston Celtics a bit. So, yeah, I'm okay taking Brooklyn here. What do you think here in this one, Wham Bam, Celtics and Nets?
Yeah, I love my boy Caillou, man. Over 3.5 threes. I think that's gonna be solid money. Scott Foster, is this a Scott Foster game? Let me double check, man. I gotta double check.
It appears that way, yes.
It is. It's a Scott Foster day. Shout out to Scott Foster, man. Had to make an appearance here on one of these games here. So shout out to him making an appearance here.
Is he? No, he's not. Sorry. This is Mark Davis and Brett Barnacki as your refs. Mark Davis is a veteran, though. That guy's pretty solid. He's a good ref, actually.
Today. Yeah, we have to see. We got to check. We got to know. Even though it's regular season, like my boy Pimento said, hey, we still got to check. But I think, Derek White over 3.5 threes. That's where a little small bet that I do have are already started off in this game. But the most thing that I think that I like is everything you're saying here, Babano. The Nets, man, they've been playing really tough against these last few games, and they've been on the road those last 3 games. Now they're coming back home, playing really tough, like you said, in all 3 of those road games there. So I definitely agree with what you're saying there with the Celtics. And we know if the Celtics they kind of don't care a little bit about any of these games. They always just want to win the game. Down the stretch, they push themselves to put in these ridiculous situations now. And then they find themselves coming back. They're really like the best team to bet live. You let the Celtics get down, and then you can get them at a good number, plus money sometimes, and they come back and win. I had them a couple of days ago, similar situation. So I think that's the same type of time. You're going to see the Nets get a good lead in this game, and they're going to cover the original number, but they might not win the game. So I definitely agree with everything you're saying, Babano. That's the only way I will be coming in here taking anything with the live look with the Celtics and taking pregame with the Nets. That's the only way I would be going here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like I said, I thought the Nets have been covering point spreads like crazy, and Boston's gone through the last few. Look, if you look at them, the last few games too, just 1-3 against the spread. They barely beat Milwaukee too. They had to come back from a deficit to win that. They trailed most of the game against Brooklyn. They lose to Golden State. They totally flat, listless last night in the loss to Atlanta. They look like a team that they're comfortable with just winning right now, winning by margin, not so much. But there we go, right on the screen here. Nets first half, actually, which finally lost, by the way, in their last game against the New Orleans Pelicans.
Okay.
That was the first ATS loss of the entire NBA season so far for that Brooklyn first half bet. But it's probably still worth a look. You can at least split it up. What I always say is split it up. You don't have to go all of it on the first half. You can split it up 50-50 first half full game if you want. Might be a decent way to consider this one if you're going to take Brooklyn for sure. All right, Chicago and New York. We got the Bulls and the Knicks at MSG. The New York Knicks 7-point home favorites, 230 the total. By the way, if you're wondering why I know who the refs are going to be, they just recently added rotowire.com. It's a go-to website for me. If you go to the NBA section and you go to the daily lineups, they've got the referee assignments for every game, which is great. you know who's going to referee every game. That's how I know Mark Davis and Brent Barnacki were doing the Boston-Brooklyn game. This one is Mark Lindsay, Ray Acosta, and Suyash Mehta are going to be the referees for this one, Chicago and New York. So that's how I know. It's a good thing to know, because especially to know where our guy Scott Foster is on a regular basis. This matchup with the Bulls and the Knicks, last year they played each other 4 times. The Knicks won 3 of them, but it was a 2-2 against the spread type of run. I was impressed with Chicago against Cleveland the other night. They gave the Cavaliers everything they could handle. 119-113 victory for the Cleveland Cavaliers in that game. But I was impressed. Chicago got 6 different players in double figures against that great Cavs team: Vucevic, Levine, Patrick Williams, Kobe White, Josh Giddey, Ayo Dosunmu. They all got into double digits. It's obviously playing the best team going right now, Cleveland, and to play them as well as they did. Hats off to Chicago. They've now they beat Atlanta down 125-113 in their last road game, and then they had that 6-point loss to the mighty Cleveland Cavaliers after that. They do have the schedule in their favor. They haven't played since that Monday night game against Cleveland. Knicks are on a back-to-back after beating Philadelphia last night, 111-99. Very solid effort, put the clamps down, made us look silly, Dutch and I, with this Embiid prop last night. Just terrible, this guy. And Shaq went off on him, and good on Shaq for doing it, saying, you're going to bitch and moan about your injury status, and you bitch to the media about how they're not treating you right. And, you're supposed to come out your first game with better performance than that. Come on, man. I mean, my gosh, 13 points. That was not good from Joel Embiid. 2 for 11, really, from the field in your return. And you've got the gall to complain and whine and piss and moan to everybody, known to man. I mean, that's ridiculous to me. That's another story. Credit, though, to the Knicks for getting the job done there, 111-99. I lean Chicago a little bit. I mean, it's not easy, but they have the schedule in their favor. They're catching a healthy amount of points. The Knicks are off a comfortable, satisfying blowout win last night against the Sixers. Are they focused here against the Chicago team on a second night of back-to-backs? We'll see. And if you actually remember, the last time they played at MSG, it was last year in April. It was a 1-point win in overtime for the Knicks, and the Bulls cashed as a big dog. So I'm tempted by the Bulls. But what I like even more here is this over. I think Bulls will push the pace with the Knicks on a back-to-back. New York's defense hasn't been great one game to the next. Look at what happened before the Philly game last night, Wham. They get ripped apart by Indiana. And that was a team that plays the way Chicago does. They're going to play fast. They're going to push the basketball in transition. And New York really struggled with that against Indiana. So I like this over more than anything, but I lean Bulls plus 7.5 as well. Wham, what do you think here, Chicago, New York?
Man, we're preaching to the choir right there, brother. I'm right there with you, right there. I'm liking this over probably the most because, like you said, they're going to push the pace. These guys will probably have tired legs, and they were just able to take advantage of that 76ers team. I mean, OG had like 10 dunks, bro. He had the easiest dunks. It looked like all fucking game, just every game. Just every shot that he had was a dunk. It's fucking ridiculous, bro. So yes, I was right there with you on the other side, annoyed as hell. Had Sixers money line in that game. It was annoying as fuck because you could tell they could compete with this team. It's just that they couldn't figure it out there. And Cat, shout out to Cat, man. He definitely took advantage of Embiid being hurt. He put it to bro, you know what I'm saying, pause. It is what it is there. I would say that I don't think that this team and the Knicks are as good as their record show. I think they are going to be probably one of those teams that we're going to see them slip. And maybe against certain teams like the Chicago Bulls here. So I do agree with the plus 7.5 that you're getting, and the over is definitely one of the favorite plays that I like in this game. I haven't bet anything in this game, but I am going to take I'm going to go with you on that over, bro. 230.5.
Yeah, I like the over. A smaller bet on Chicago, but I definitely like the over. I like this total more than the side here in this game. All right, let's go to New Orleans and Oklahoma City. We've got the Thunder. 14.5-point home favorites. The total in this one, 225 in this game. Oklahoma City, I had to give out 6.5 with the best bet on the show on Monday with Oklahoma City against the Clippers. I personally had -6 in pocket, so I got a push because they won by 6. But unfortunately, we have to take the L for the best bet because I had to give it. There was no sixes when we were doing the show. It was only 6.5 was the best number. And unfortunately, they only won by 6, even though they were up by double digits. They kind of let the lead get away in the fourth quarter and had to hang on to beat the Clippers. Obviously, we know there's a OKC team that suffered the unfortunate setback of Chet Holmgren being out long term. That sucks. That hurts. You hate to see that, no question. But when you look at it, this New Orleans team, they're not doing anything right at the moment. Their offense has really hit the shits. 0-5 straight up, 0-5 against the spread. Meanwhile, you look at the Thunder. They've suddenly played 4 straight overs going into this game, and you start to look at what they're dealing. Now they have some injuries that they can't hold a candle to what New Orleans is dealing with from an injury standpoint. It's Herb Jones, it's C.J. McCollum, it's DeJounte Murray, it's Zion Williamson, it's Jose Alvarado. This is a decimated Pelicans team right now, no question. Meanwhile, OKC, look, they've got their injuries. We mentioned Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Hartenstein hasn't played a game yet this year, and now Alex Caruso out as well. And you're talking about one of your key acquisitions in the offseason in free agency to help this team defensively, one of your best wing defenders, one of your best perimeter defenders now missing in this game for Oklahoma City as well. So I actually think the over is probably a good bet here. Suddenly a lot smaller lineup that Mark Daigneault is going with due to some of these injuries for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're playing with a little bit quicker pace now because of this smaller lineup. Their offense is still fine. I think it's kind of forced SGA to look for his offense even more with some of these injuries right now, playing a little faster. So I do agree with the total going up the way it has from 223 to 225. I'm very tempted to lay the points, though, even though the Thunder are dealing with some of these injuries, man, because you look at New Orleans, Wham Bam, away from home, away from the Big Easy. Look at these road results. 22-point loss at Portland, 18-point loss at Golden State, 15-point loss at Golden State. And then in their last road game at Orlando, they lose by 27. They haven't even been close in any of these road games. And I know there's no Caruso. And Chet is going to miss a good amount of time now. And they've also got Jalen Williams out. I get all that. This Thunder team still might be good enough to wipe the floor with these guys. They haven't even been remotely competitive on the road, the Pelicans, in any of their recent road games. So I'm going to lay it, the 14.5 with the Thunder. I like the over as well. Wham Bam, what do you think?
Man, I do agree with you. This is one of those teams I don't want nothing to do with the side just because of that. I think that I want to go all the way Oklahoma City here. I just think that, man, this is an NBA team. I've been seeing some of these big spreads being like pretty much decimated within the next first 5 minutes in the first quarter. So it kind of is hard for me to go ahead and jump here. But I think if you are taking this, going the same route that Babano's going, taking it all the way through, that's the way it's going to have to be. I think OKC is definitely one of the most talented teams, especially at the house. It's the environment. This team is pretty much one of the teams that we knew that was going to be bad. They're terrible ATS. They're just showing you everything to bet against them at this moment. Everyone is out sick. Coming into this season, we said that this is the most morale least type team because of what they have against them. And the only thing that we have is the edge on the props. And I think that the props is just screaming in this game for New Orleans. So I'm glad to go to Trey Murphy making his debut the other day back into the stroke of things. Pause. I think that he's going to get right to it and go crazy for this Pelicans team to try to make this a competitive game on their behalf. And then you got to go look at BI. Obviously, BI been trying to get paid. Like we keep saying, that's the edge of this Pelicans team that are going to keep trying to ride. Over 23.5 points for Brandon Ingram is where I'm going to go. Over 14.5 points for Trey Murphy. But I am trying to ladder that up to 20 points. I haven't seen what the exact is on the 20-plus points for Trey Murphy. Matter of fact, I'm looking at it right now. At plus 237, at plus 237. So I'll be something around in that range there. So I'm a little shop around just to make sure I'm getting the right number there. But Trey Murphy to 20-plus points. I think, not that much minutes last game. They need his ass really bad. You know what I'm saying? So he got to get out there. So There it is right there. So I'm thinking Trey Murphy type game, sneaky prop there. Brandon Ingram, consistent, over 23.5 points with him. And I do agree with everything Babano's saying. It's still, they could get smoked by 20-plus points, and I think both of those guys could still get those point totals. So I like the over as well with what Bro's saying as well. So everything Babano was saying, I agree. But for me, it's just only going to be those two props. Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy, both points over.
Those have to be the guys. And Brandon Ingram has to play like he did last game against Brooklyn, where he had 24 points. I think he shot 10 for 24. He can't have that 2 for 11 bullshit he had the game before that and only 11 points. That was horrible, that previous game. BI had to be a lot better than that. He was against New Orleans. Yeah, those are the two. You're not going to rely on Brandon Boston and some of these other guys now to fill it up for this New Orleans team, this decimated, depleted New Orleans team. It's got to be Brandon Ingram. It's got to be Trey Murphy. Clearly, I agree with that. If you're going to target any props on the Pelicans side, those are the two guys you got to look for. There's no question about that. I agree with SGA over points. Again, with all these injuries too, I think it's forced SGA to become more of a volume shooter for the Thunder. We're seeing that. He's trying to get back to being that automatic 30-point guy every single game, which we know he's capable of. So, yeah, makes sense maybe that SGA goes over as well here in this one. All right, Cleveland and Philadelphia. We got the Cavaliers, obviously, what a start, 12-0 straight up, 9-3 against the spread. They are laying 10.5 up to 11 in some spots now on the road in Philly against the Sixers, 218 the total. I think it's either lay it or don't play it, quite honestly. I mean, look at this Sixers team. First of all, scheduling advantage for Cleveland. They played Monday night with the win in Chicago. Philly on a back-to-back, losing to the New York Knicks, 111-99. Although no travel. That game was in Philly last night, so they don't have to travel. But it is still a back-to-back. And now you're talking about the complete and utter guts of the team. All of them out tonight for the Philadelphia 76ers. Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Joel Embiid. That's your three best players on the team. It's not even close compared to the rest of the roster. How the hell are you going to compete in this game with a team like Cleveland? Now, the one concern is we're talking about laying 11 on the road. The number is catching up to Cleveland. They have failed to cover now, wham bam, in 2 straight games, winning by 5 against Brooklyn, winning by 6 against Chicago. So you're not getting a bargain. You're not getting a discount here on Cleveland. But for me, it's still lay it or don't play it. I want no piece, no part of the Philadelphia 76ers tonight in this spot. Wham, what do you think here, Cavs Sixers?
Yeah, you're definitely right there. And even if I'm going to get here, I'm going to go early with the Cavs, and I'm probably going to stay away from this full game just because I think they might be able to trick this off on some bullshit just because they just want to trick this off because they don't care about this big total here. So early is probably the best bet here. 2-7 so far ATS in the first half for this 76ers team. And this Cavs team, they've been rolling. They've been rolling in the first half. They've been rolling in the full game, 7-4 and 1 ATS in the first half for this Cavs team. I kind of agree with you, Brian H., but I do agree with Oakley as well. It might be a little too juicy for that first half, full game combo, but that should work. That should work right there. That should really be the type of play that you want to focus in on here. But first half is the only way I will be betting here. Other than that, this is exotic backwood to me.
Yeah, here's the thing with this game, guys.
Is bad for your health.
We had to.
Good to hear that. Way to go. The problem here is, look, I see Kyle Lowry and Kelly Oubre, who are obviously in the starting 5 with all these injuries. Last night against the Knicks, a combined 2 for 11 last night, 9 points. That if they're going to get run right the fuck out of their own home building tonight if that happens again. They need something from Kyle. And look, you're talking about an old man now in his late 30s, my age. It's now a starting point guard on a back-to-back at his age. That's not easy. Trust me. So that's not a good advantageous situation at all. And Oubre is a mystery to me. He could pop off out of the blue for 25 points, and then he can be like last night where he's just missing everything. So those two have to give you something, because if they don't, they're going to get whipped tonight in this game. So Lowry, Oubre, you need some offense from them. Caleb Martin had a pretty good night. Like I can count on him, but he can't be the only guy. He needs help here tonight for the Sixers. And, that's definitely exactly Surfing USA, Julian. That's what it sounds like. Beach Boys, that backwoods song. I love it. Love hearing it. Never hear enough of it. It's good stuff. But yeah, I think if you take Cleveland here, don't put it all on the full game, because you're right. You could see some weird shit. They're up by 16, kind of, backdoor cover type of deal. Probably put a little first half in full game. Split it up if you like the Cleveland Cavaliers here in this spot. All right, we got Detroit and Milwaukee. Milwaukee Bucks 6.5-point home favorites, 212.5 the total in this game. So this is Detroit or pass for me. But Detroit's coming off, on a crazy game with Miami where they had the lead most of the way, blew it in the second half, had to go to overtime, hung on, got the 123-121 victory. That was a wild game. Tricky spot for them, back-to-back, going on the road now against Milwaukee, who obviously had a much easier time of it last night against Toronto than Detroit did with Miami, as Milwaukee pretty much cruised most of the game, 99-85. The Raptors, end of a very long road trip. They didn't have a lot of gas left in that tank last night, only scoring 85 points. Their offense suffered. They shot 35%. Milwaukee was just in control for most of that game. Toronto tried to make a run, but Milwaukee pulled away again again down the stretch. And for the first time in, only the third time in their last 10 games, Milwaukee covered the number. They were laying 9. They win that game by 14. But this is still not a team I'm really rushing to lay points with. I can tell you that right now. But am I running to bet Detroit? This is a really tough spot for Detroit. They had to extend themselves overtime with Miami last night. You look at the minutes of Tobias Harris, 40 minutes. Jaden Ivey, 40 minutes. Cade Cunningham, 37 minutes in that game. So you're talking about 37 for Cade. Two of your other key starters, Tobias Harris and Jaden Ivey, over 40 minutes, now playing on a back-to-back. That's pretty tough. This is my backwood right here. I can't do it. So it's a pass for me in this one.
Is bad for your health.
Lean Detroit if I had to, but I just think it's pretty tough ask here for the Pistons. Wham Bam, what do you think here? Detroit, Milwaukee.
I agree. Again, Babano, we in sync right here, bro. I think it's Detroit or not. The way they won that game last night, shout out to them. That was the only win that I had that was pretty much confident there. Detroit money line. The way they won down the stretch with that out of bounds play to Duren, great freaking call by JB Bickerstaff. Still one of the great play callers there. Now he's going up against two guys that's going to be crossing their arms in Darvin Ham and Doc tonight. I do trust the Pistons a lot better. The only thing I don't trust is his injury report. Their shooting is being hampered here. Tim Hardaway Jr. hampered with
Ivy out.
Ivy. I'm not. Is he out? If he's out, it is.
Ivy's out. Ivy's out.
Yeah, if Ivy's out, it's pretty much over for me. I don't want anything to do with this. I think the way he was out of the game last game, it's going to be a lot of Cade though for sure. It's going to be a lot of Cade. I think you're going to see a lot of pick and roll with Duren and those guys over there, but it's just tough with all those shooters out, man. So I can't go with the Pistons. I think the Bucks probably got them for today. So it might be a good Bucks spot, but I don't want them. You know what I mean? So I'll let them cash, and I don't have to have no money on it. So I agree with you, bro.
To answer Brian's question, does Bobano hoop in real life? He looks like he can shoot the three. I can make some free throws. I can make some free throws for sure. I can try for a three. I'm not going to hit many, but even my percentage might be more than Ben Simmons. So you never know.
Golly,
can't resist getting my shots in still on Ben Simmons after all these years. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Washington and San Antonio. The Spurs, 10.5-point home favorites here. 225 being the total. Giannis game time decision. Lillard and Middleton still out tonight, by the way, for Milwaukee. For Washington and San Antonio here, Spurs with the scheduling advantage of a lifetime the other night against Sacramento, when Sacramento's coming in off an overtime game, extended minutes for DeRozan and Fox and Keegan Murray, and all those guys had to play a lot of minutes in Phoenix, and San Antonio just much fresher, more rested, took advantage of it and won comfortably by 20 over Sacramento. We'll see if they can keep that rolling here in this game. Washington is kind of starting to look like that worst team in the NBA that a lot of people thought 2-7 straight up, 2-7 against the spread. And that tells you how bad they've been, because everyone knows how bad they are. They're going to be getting a lot of points in every game, and they've still only covered twice in 9 games so far this year. 107-92 loss to Houston in their last game. We'll see how this one plays out. What's pretty crazy is if you look at the last 2 times Washington's been in San Antonio, they won both games. But this is a different Washington group right now. They're obviously struggling mightily. Brogdon and Sadiq Bey are out. Looks like for San Antonio, Jeremy Sohan out, Trey Jones out, Branham, a game-time decision for the Spurs in this game. We'll see if San Antonio, what they've got. They got the Lakers coming up on Friday. I don't know if they call that a look ahead, but I would lean to Spurs. I mean, I don't want to touch Washington at the moment, but laying 10.5 with the Spurs, I don't think I can do it. Wham, what do you think here? Spurs hosting the Wizards.
Yeah, I think I kind of would agree with you again, man. This is a backwood, bro. This is a backwood. If you can't see a backwood, there. This
is bad for your health.
This is bad for your health, bro. We could definitely move on from this, and I know Dutch don't want nothing to do with this either. So I'm sure we all don't. We don't want nothing to do with this.
Yeah, that's the way it is right now. You're right with I'm not comfortable with the Spurs at -10. I'm just not. But Washington taking them, yeah, not at the moment when I'm seeing this really wretched run that they have been on here. And I don't know if it's now. I will say this: the last 3 road games, Memphis, Orlando, Houston, they got blown out. They lost all 3 by at least 15 points. San Antonio is not quite as good as those 3 teams, so maybe it does give Washington more of an opportunity to compete and cover, but not enough for me to put my money on it, that's for sure. All right, Clippers and Rockets. Houston, 4.5-point home favorites here, 213.5 being the total here in this game. The LA Clippers, of course, looks like from an injury standpoint tonight, obviously we're not going to see Kawhi maybe ever again, though certainly not anytime soon. PJ Tucker out as well. For Houston, Fred VanVleet is a game-time decision with the hamstring. He missed the Washington game the other night because of that. Steven Adams is also a game-time decision with the knee injury. He did play in the game against Washington, which means I probably think he'll play tonight because of the fact he played in the Washington game for the Rockets. I would expect we're going to see him here tonight as well. Houston's one of those teams where on the road I'm a little leery about backing them, but at home this has always been a pretty good team under Ime Udoka. Good home record, good ATS record at home last year. That's kind of carried over so far this year, where they're 4-2 at home. They've covered now 4 straight games or 4 of the last 5 they've covered here at the house. The only one was when they were favored against Golden State, who are playing incredible basketball right now, and they lost that game. But they won by 20 against Memphis at the house, 12 against New York at the house, 27-point win against San Antonio here at home, and then the 15-point win against Washington here at home in this one. I like the Rockets a little bit here. I know Clippers are coming off a 6-point loss against Oklahoma City. The Rockets, of course, you look at the last year, it was pretty competitive games between these 2 teams. Clippers won 2 of them, but Houston here at home, I'm mildly interested. I think when you look at the Clippers too, 6-5 start to the year. They had won 4 in a row prior to the loss to Oklahoma City. I think there's some leveling off coming. Like I said, I think this is definitely a game where I'm a little bit interested in Houston here, -4. A lot of Clipper love, though, in the chat. I see +4.5. Bounce back, perhaps, off the loss to Oklahoma City. I don't know. To me, I feel like this team's overachieved a little bit, played a little bit better than I expected. I don't know if that's going to continue indefinitely. I'd be on the Houston side here in this one. Wham Bam, what do you think here? Clippers, Rockets.
You know what? I always thought that the Pacific division for the Lakers, Kings, and Clippers, and all these guys. I think all these teams are showing one of the best divisions in the league, and the fact that they don't even have Kawhi and they're still being able to be 4-0 ATS on the road is a good thing for this Clippers team. So is it going to be sustainable? I don't know, Babano, but what is sustainable? Fucking Norman Powell, bro. Like, golly, Norman Powell is fucking killing it, bro. 31 points last game, 24, 31, 26, 30, 23, 24, 23, 30, 20, 37. He's pretty much killing over his 21.5-point total recently, man. So Norman Powell it is for me in this game, and I agree with the chat. I think the Clippers are going to win and cover this game. I think that this is just one of those games, man, where I don't necessarily like this Rockets team all the way, man. I think they still missing something. There's something they missing, bro. There's something they missing. They definitely could beat them just off offense alone because they have the better team on that side of the ball. But just something about this Clippers all the way around, having the clutch players that they do. I'm going to go ahead and trust them a little bit more. But the only thing I'm taking right now in this official spot is Storm and Norman, like the DJ Max say. I say I'm definitely rocking with Storm and Norman over 21.5 points. He's been killing that, bro. 31 points last game, 24 the game before. So give me, bro. And that's the only thing I'm locking in.
I can't blame you on the Norman Powell look at all. I mean, 26 points per game on average, 31 against OKC, 24, 31, 26. This is the best he's played since the Toronto Raptors championship season in 2019 when he was with the Raptors that year. And he had a really good year that year, and this is probably the best he's played since then. There's no question. Very impressive. And they've needed his offense, too, because it can't just all be Harden every night. Have that secondary score, Norman Powell, it's really helped because, Terrence Mann, it comes and goes, Derek Jones, you need that shooting guard production. And right now, Norman Powell's delivering that at the moment for the LA Clippers, no question. All right, next up, we've got the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the LA Lakers. Lakers 7-point home favorites, 232. The total in this game, obviously a very high total. We've seen a lot. Obviously, with the Memphis Grizzlies, as far as overs are concerned, this is another really banged up team, Memphis, coming into this game. The injury report is lengthy. What I can tell you is that Desmond Bane is definitely out. John Morant is definitely out for Memphis. Vince Williams is a game-time decision. Marcus Smart and Brandon Clark, two starters for Memphis, are a game-time decision as well. So you could be talking about a very thin Memphis starting five tonight. Scottie Pippen Jr., they'd have to get someone to replace Smart and or Clark. If neither of those two suit up, Santi Aldama, Jaren Jackson. So it gets very thin for Memphis after that. Meanwhile, for the LA Lakers, it looks like for tonight, Jackson Hayes is out. He's one of the ones that was added to the injury report. D'Angelo Russell, it looks like, is going to be a game time. Actually, he's going to play. He had an illness, but he's good to go for the Lakers. And Anthony Davis is always on the injury report, but he's playing tonight for the LA Lakers in this one. Believe it or not, I like the Lakers tonight. I do in this spot. It's a revenge situation. They went to Memphis, and it was not a good time there that they had recently against this Grizzlies team down in Grind City. There was a grind, all right. It was the Lakers getting grinded that night, 131-114. They got whipped by the Grizzlies just a week ago down in Memphis. So revenge spot for the Lakers. They played very well here at home. You look at these home performances, 7-point win against Minnesota, 7-point win against Phoenix. They beat Sacramento, that one only by 4, but then they beat the Sixers by 10, the Raptors by 20. These last two home games. So all but one of their recent home wins has been by more than this point spread. So not only they've been winning at home pretty consistently, but they've been winning by more than this point spread more often as well. Again, a lot of injuries here for this Grizzlies team. And obviously, despite the injuries, Memphis was able, to beat Portland. How does Portland lose to that short-handed Memphis team like that, 134-89? And you could say the same thing about Washington, 128-104. But Portland and Washington, not exactly excellent basketball teams. Not the 90s Bulls, let's put it that way. Not even close. So tougher ask here for Memphis now tonight against a Lakers team that is very well rested, in revenge mode, healthier right now than the Memphis Grizzlies are concerned. And like I said, the Lakers here, 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread this season on this home floor. And again, 4 of the 5 wins by 7 points or more here at the Crypto House. So, yeah, I'm going to lay it. Give me the Lakers here. I'm not a Laker hater today. I love the Lakers. The Lakers here. Yeah, I laid 6.5. It's up to 7. I still like it at -7. Lean to the over as well, but I like the side even more. Lakers laying it. When, what do you think?
Look, even with just two people, man, we got to have a little love here for the Lakers, bro. Y'all know I'm not going to say anything bad about the Lakers while they're at home. They're at home, 5-0 ATS, 5-0 straight up. You got to think the Lakers here, especially with the injury riddled Grizzlies. But you know, somebody is going to make this a game. It's just too easy. It's just too easy. It's Hollywood. They want to make this something type of show. Last game, it was kind of a revenge game, not necessarily for the Lakers, but for Scottie Pippen Jr. I guess he really was pissed off about the Lakers. He did what he had to do on the offensive side of the ball, 3 for 4 from the field, 14 points. His point total right now is 13 and a half, juiced up. So they expect him to go 14 or more in this game. I don't want anything to do that. I think that's the only guy that I think that stands out here on that type of sign. But we do know that our good old buddy Marcus Smart is back in the lineup, and he's back pretty much getting the range here. Is it Marcus Smart assist time here? I think the over 3.5 is pretty tempting here. We know what type of time Marcus Smart is on the assist side, but like Babano said, he's throwing it to Santi Alderman. Hopefully, he's knocking his shots down. He's throwing it to the boy right here we just mentioned, and Scottie Pippen Jr. or Jaren Jackson Jr. on a pick and roll spot. So maybe it is a good 3.5 for Marcus Smart assist. I haven't really all the way locked into that, but this game is really tricky, bro. Y'all know how I do. I kind of like rather wait for all my other games to come in, cash through before I make a decision on this game. And only thing that I do like in this game is possibly Marcus Smart assists and maybe Lakers full game first half, something around in that rate, because why would I bet against them at home? They've been winning and covering. Don't do that. It's not broke. Don't try to fix it. So that's what I'm gonna just probably do at the end of the day. But it's hard to back it because I know a lot of people like the Lakers, and when I'm on the Lakers, when everyone likes it, it never works out. But I do kind of got a yellow shirt on, so maybe that's telltale. I don't know.
I like the Lakers here tonight as well. Yes, I think it's still playable. Catch you slipping. Line is 7.5. Is that still playable for the Lakers? There are still some 7s. So shop around. Try to find a 7. There are still some 7s out there with the Lakers. Not, it may not matter. Maybe they're going to win by 8, 9, 10, 15, 18, whatever. But every half point counts. So, yeah, if you can find a 7. But even at 7.5, I do like it. All right, next up, we've got Minnesota and Portland. God damn, these Timberwolves, man. The fuck happened to them last night? Well, they get another chance at redemption against the very same team in the very same building, playing Portland again at the I beg your pardon, I bet you never had a rose garden. That was an old song. It's not the Rose Garden anymore, though. No, of course, it's the Moda Center. But the Timberwolves, 10-point road favorites, 218.5 the total. I feel like it's one of these deals where I've backed myself into a corner here where, I loved Minnesota last night. They absolutely just laid an egg. They didn't even show up, quite honestly, last night. You could tell right away, like, they're not winning. Never mind covering. They're not winning this game, I said early on with the way they were playing. Falling behind by 11 in the first quarter. It was just a dreadful game all around. Really, you got Naz Reid showed up. Nobody else. Edwards was okay, too. But after that, it was a really rough night for the rest of the crew, and it doesn't help either when you allow not 1, not 2, not 3, but 7 Blazer players to get to double digits. Look at some of these guys that fucking had double digits. Robert Williams Denny Althea, Delano Banton, who wasn't – the Raptors didn't want him sticking around, and he gets 12 points against them. I mean, it was just everybody chipping in last night. I'm going to be pissed if I lose with Minnesota last night and don't come back on them tonight and they win by like 30. I'm going to be pissed if I don't come back on them. So I'm going to take Minnesota again, but I'm definitely a lot more leery of it than I was last night. That's for sure. So, but I'm going to lay it with Minnesota. How do you not come back strong tonight and just whip this team after what they did to you last night? So, yeah, I'm going to lay it again with Minnesota. God help me. What do you think here, Wham?
I was on them too, and I asked. I did a show live show after when the games had kicked off. I was like, man, I think Babano would have been on the Timberwolves too today, man. I think my guy would have been on, so I hopped on him too, and I was so disappointed, just like you said, bro. And everything you're saying is like you're talking to me in the mirror, and I'm talking to myself. Yes, I need to be back on these guys right here, especially with the injuries that they just announced recently. There's no Ayton, there's no Robert Williams, there's no Anthony Simons in this game. So none of those guys are going to play for the Blazers either. So you got all these guys out. And then you got the Timberwolves being able to get a quick revenge situation here. Yeah, I think I do want to go here, but like you talking exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, bro, I just had this team yesterday. They should have did this yesterday. But you said it again earlier that the Celtics didn't give a damn about this playing tournament. Maybe the Timberwolves didn't give a damn about it either. So the fact that this is the real regular season, this is probably the real like that's the narrative probably that I am willing to stick and hold on to. So I do like this Timberwolves team, but this is one of those games I was just going to think about it later on, try to pack it up later, but this is the way I'm going to be going for sure. I think Wolves can win by double digits tonight.
Yeah, and plus you got the fact that DeAndre Ayton's out. It looks like confirmed for the Blazers. Anthony Simons is out, won't play again tonight either. So again, you're fully healthy if you're Minnesota. Like go out there and rip this team, which you should have done last night. That's the way I see it. But like I said, yeah, I'll come back to Minnesota tonight one more time, even after that disappointment from them last night. All right, final game. How about that? 46 minutes. We've reached our final game already for this huge slate, which has 11 games on it. So we got through 11 games in like a little under 50 minutes. Pretty damn good pace. We're playing at that Bulls pace, that Raptors pace, right? Golden State pace right now here on the NBA OG show. We got Phoenix and Sacramento. Sacramento Kings 7.5-point home favorites. 220, 5.5 being the total here in this game. This is a rematch of just the game last weekend in Phoenix, where Sacramento ended up with the 127-118 victory in overtime. Emerged victorious. So revenge spot Phoenix on the road here against this Sacramento team. 5.5-point road favorites. They beat Utah 120-112 last night. It is a back-to-back situation for the Suns, and it is a rest advantage for the Sacramento Kings in this game. But do I want to lay 6.5, 7? Well, now 7.5, 8, I should say now with Sacramento. No, I don't. And there's still some injuries, especially Malik Monk is the key reserve. Remember, this is a guy that gives you double digits on average. So he's still out with the right ankle sprain for Sacramento. Obviously, we know there's injuries for Phoenix. Kevin Durant is still out. Yusuf Nurkic looks like he is going to be good to go, though. Back, it looks like, from the ankle injury that kept him out last night against Utah. So that's important to have him back, especially when you got to deal with Sabonis on the other side at the 5 spot. Bradley Beal questionable tonight with the calf injury. He did play last night. We'll see if he suits up tonight. Again, older guy, back-to-back. You wonder if you'll see Bradley Beal and the market ticking up on Sacramento here in this game. Kind of is that maybe that tell sign that maybe Bradley Beal's not going to play for Phoenix here tonight in this game. But I'll be honest, the more it rises, even with Durant out, they do get Nurkic back. And even if Beal misses, the more this rises, the more I'm tempted with the plus points with the Phoenix Suns. Now that it's up to 8, I'm interested. Don't know if I'll bet it yet, but I'm leaning toward maybe getting involved with Phoenix here plus 8, even with the negative spot advantage or schedule in their negative scheduling spot compared to Sacramento, because Sacramento with the rest advantage. What do you think here, Skee? Final game, Suns, Kings.
Before I give it away, man, we got to give it up to the chat. Shout out to the chat, man. Cheshire Cat, Stop. Yep. Gio, Mark Quells, Catch You Slipping, Ken Wood, B Daddy, Mark A, Charles White, our guy Justin, Saturated, SK, Chris Mack, Nick, man, so many people up here. T Shank, shout out to y'all, man. We love y'all to death, bro. This is definitely the reason why we do it. Josh up in here. Is there a bill in this game? I do not know. And that's the reason why this game is on standby for me as well, just because we don't know if he's going to be in the game or not. There's a questionable tag for Grayson Allen just recently added as well. Hamstring. Grayson Allen just got recently added to that as well. So this is a game that I want to just wait and see what's going on, man. It's unfortunate because this is the last game, and I think this is one of the most interesting games if all those players were going to be playing in this game. But it is what it is. But Bill, big question mark there. I honestly want to say this Kings here, but the fact of the matter that the money seems like it's still a lot of stronghold Suns backers that's keeping this total at 8 and some spots even 7.5 here. So I don't trust this Kings here. I think the Pookie pipe is the beam that they be talking about, bro. So I don't trust the Kings at all. So I would think the big number here with the Suns, if it gets bigger, that pause. I would definitely be on it. Pause.
Yeah, like I said, I'm waiting too on Beal. Let's be honest. Like I said, I'm interested, but there would be a huge hole to fill offensively for the Suns if they're missing both Durant and Beal. Obviously, it would mean that for the Suns, Devin Booker would have to go wild tonight in this game and really carry them along. But like I said, I don't love Sacramento in this price range. They've been flighty. They've been very, very flighty when they've been asked to lay points in this range. 8 or more. So, like I said, we'll wait to see what the Bradley Beal status is before moving along. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And it's good to see all the usual names. I mean, and faces in the chat. Saturated, of course, Justin McKelvey and Ken Wood, B Daddy, Star Child. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, people that have tuned into this show with us, the NBA OG crew for years. So we really do it. Ron Crawford, we appreciate Lucky Power. We appreciate everybody. Too many to name, but you know who you are. Conks Clips, we appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. And thanks for joining here. Remember, we're here Monday to Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and then on Friday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. So 4 days a week right here with the NBA OG crew. All right. It's that time of the show. We've gone through all the games. It is time to see what we like best because it is best bet time for this show. There's no Dutch, so I've got to be Dutch today and give the Dutch outro at the end of the show, as I always do when our boy Dutch isn't here. So that means we'll go to Wham Bam first and see what his best bet is for this Wednesday slate. Wham Bam, what do you like?
I like Caillou for sure, but we're going to go Benedict Mathurin over 18.5 points. This has hit 5 out of the last 6 games. That is going to be my best bet. And since we don't got any of our other guys, Storm and Norman, can't forget about Storm and Norman over there. I think he's going to go over his point total as well. But Benedict Mathurin, the first game that's cracking off, best bet for us today, over 18.5 points.
All right, there we go. Benedict Mathurin. I love it. Fellow Canadian. Oh, Canada. Benedict Mathurin for the Indiana Pacers for Wham Bam, his best bet for this Wednesday. My best bet for this Wednesday, it was going to be either Chicago, New York over or New Orleans, OKC. Oh, and I like OKC as well, but I like the total even more. I'm going to go with that New Orleans, Oklahoma City over. 224. Thunder are going to score at will against this horrible Pelican defense. Small lineups on both sides. Injuries in the front court on both sides, especially to Oklahoma City. They're playing a smaller lineup. The pace is quickened. I think we'll see that game get up and over. They're certainly going to play faster than a 224 total pace. And if they can be efficient enough offensively, I think that game goes over the total. So Pelicans, Thunder, over 224. For my best bet here for this Wednesday NBA card. Shout out to everyone in the chat.
Yeah.
Hit the like button on the way out. And as Dutch would say, look, the NBA is a hell of a drug. And you're looking at the plugs. Yeah, man. Shout out to everyone. We're going in. We're coming out with a motherfucking bag. Y'all stay fresh. Stay blessed. And let's stay putting these motherfucking bookies to rest. Yeah, man.